We are live.
There it is. I see it.
Yes. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. I'm your host, Art Thibert. Welcome to my my studio where I do all my comic book work. And with me is the great Aaron Lopresti. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me, Art. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, no problem. No problem. And I have to take care of one bit of business. We just cleared 1,900 on subs with YouTube. So this is a milestone for me. I've been at this for the last year. So 1,900 subs is big. So if you guys are a fan of this kind of content, I know Aaron's got a new YouTube as well. Please sub. It means a lot. And give a thumbs up for this stream. It does help the algorithm. So I got that out of the way. So how you been, Aaron?
I've been working hard, man. I'm just finishing up a fill-in issue on Aquaman, waiting for to start some work on Justice League. So how about that? And pushing like crazy my Garbage Man campaign through Indiegogo. So I am a busy dude.
Multi hats, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm 25, but all this work, I've lost my hair and gone gray because of all this.
Well, I kid. This is from having children. So yeah, all the gray came from having children.
Getting married and having children, right?
Yeah, I didn't have one bit of gray hair until my daughter was born.
Oh boy, it changes quick.
Boom.
Yep.
Yeah, it happened. It happened all at once. So what was it? 2 days ago, I think I was, because we were talking about friendly competition off the stream here, and I think I was about 1,500 ahead of you. And then within 1 day, you cleaned my clock, man.
Well, I went on Billy's show and Ethan's show back to back. And I think that gave me I picked up 30 some backers just in that period of time. And so that's what pushed me over the top. So.
Yeah. What happened to Ethan's show last? I was listening to it and then it just kind of went away.
He had some apparently had some internet problems because he was in mid-sentence and he just disappeared for a couple minutes. Are you still there? And then he came back, and so I don't know. Maybe it dumped again after I left.
Yeah, it never came back for my YouTube. I never got it back. So you guys disappeared and never came back. So did you finish the show or was that it?
No, we finished it because he came back. I think Zach was still on there, and so we were like, Ethan, hello, and it was just totally black, right? But then he came back suddenly, and we were so we talked for a while, and then I had to go drive my daughter around, which is my fate in life apparently, and so I left after about an hour, and I was on there for over an hour, so I figured that was, it was pretty good, but there was a lot of what's the phrase, inside baseball going on there, because they were talking about stuff I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah. It's every time I go on that show, I feel the same way. And it's like, hey, Art, be part of the conversation. I'm like,
what you guys were talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Also, how are you with crowds? Like conventions are okay because people kind of single file into the table and there's a small space. But how do you feel about party scenes and big crowds and ththings like that? Are you good in those situations?
Appearing in them. You're talking about drawing them or appearing in them?
No, just being in them in general, a big party situation where there's multiple people talking at one time, that kind of thing.
It's really weird because I don't really like that much. The whole convention experience, the problem with me is, and probably with everybody else, is when you're sitting behind your table and there's that kind of low-grade buzz throughout the entire floor, and
right.
People come up to you and talk to you and they're just normal voice and you can't hear a word they're saying, right? It's like, dude, you got to yell because there's so much ambient noise going on here. And I'm the same way at a party. It just gets to a buzz where you're yelling at people just to communicate.
Right.
And, I'm not a big drinker or anything anyway. So it's I never really feel comfortable in those settings. I'm okay doing a seminar in front of a large crowd of people,
right,
stuff like that. But just in I'm social, but it's at this point, I'm just kind of it's fatiguing, you're I can't hear anybody.
Well, a seminar is kind of organized. So, or when you're doing a panel of discussion, so it's kind of one at a time, people coming at you.
Right.
But the party thing is where you can't control, there's multiple conversations going at one time. There's all this chaos and you're like, who do I talk to? And then, like you said, there's this ambient sound, so I can never regulate my voice properly. So either they can't hear me or I'm screaming my lungs out.
My wife's always, you're being too loud. You're being too loud. And you're like, I don't have a volume control. I have no idea what I sound like. But yeah, it's funny. The most entertaining thing for me, well, I say that jokingly, is that when usually it's with a husband and wife, right? And you're talking to them and they start talking to you at the same time about different things. And it's like they totally ignore the fact that their spouse is talking. And you're like, who am I supposed to be listening to right now? It's just,
Always go with your spouse, because there's going to be hell to pay later if you don't. Your friends will understand. Your wife won't.
Well, no, I mean, I'm talking about when I'm talking to, like a couple, I'm there by myself, or even if my wife's there.
Oh, okay.
And they're both talking to you at the same time about different things. And you're kind of like,
still go with the wife.
Yes.
Always go with the wife. And San Diego Comic-Con, like the preview night is mandatory now. It used to not be. So that's a 5-day show now, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I may share a booth with Terry Dodson, and we talk about this every year. I'm kind of like, at what point are they just going to bag the preview night and just make it a whole day?
Yeah.
They used to, they're getting better at it, but they used to have a lot of trouble getting all the preview night guests in the door. And because it's only like 3.5 hours, right?
Right.
Spending 2.5 hours trying to get everybody in the door. So at that point, it's kind of like if you're the last guy in line getting in, you've got like an hour. So it's kind of like, or 30 minutes. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've gotten better about that, but it still seems to me like, you might as well just start at noon, maybe just, and just go for 5 days.
Yeah. But the thing is, by the end, by about mid-Saturday, right, I'm just done. Like, I'm a zombie. And then Sunday morning, you're just like, I'm sorry. I love hanging out with people. I love, talking and drawing and all that stuff. But man, you don't want to be there, right? You're just kind of like, I'm done.
Well, the only thing is, if you're sitting there and you're actually making money on those days, you're like, okay, I can grind this out, But yeah, it does get it. There's a lot of, man, I can't believe it's only Thursday, or oh man, I can't believe it's only Friday.
Right.
It wears on you.
One day I was taking the bus home or to the hotel, and I realized I was talking to my wife on the phone, and I'm like, God, I'm really worn out. I'm really, really tired. And it was like the second day or something like that. And so all of a sudden it hit me. I hadn't eaten a thing all day.
That happens all the time. He's like, when was the last time I went to the bathroom? You like check your pants and go, did I just wet myself? And I just, because you're sketching, you don't have time to do anything. You know,
you have a little Mountain Dew bottle down there, so no one thinks it's pee. That's a tip to all the up and comers. Yeah, the Mountain Dew. That's an old veteran trick.
Well, I'll tell you though, the worst is New York Con. It's worse than San Diego. I don't know when the last time you were in New York, but
I only went to the first 3 years they had it at the Javits.
Right. Well, I go about every other year. I didn't go this year, but I was the year prior. And there's just so many people. I mean, it's worse than San Diego, and they're just crammed in there like sardines. And I just get like, I mean, I'm not necessarily all that claustrophobic, but you just start feeling oppressed, because there's just so many people and you're just surrounded. And it's like you have to wait like 30 minutes to go use the bathroom or something. It's just crazy. And yet, of course, I'm going to go again next year. So, but
the thing is, the money's good. Like San Diego, even the preview night. The reason I like the preview night at San Diego is because all the big collectors
on
preview night. So I sell the most artwork on Wednesday.
Yeah,
that
used to be the routine. You could count on it. Wednesday night and Thursday, you make your big money because, like you said, all the art dealers come in because they don't want to deal with the crowds over the weekend.
Right.
But it's been a roller coaster for me. The last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I have not been able to predict anything. I've had, big Sundays that saved my show. Everybody's always texting. No one texts me until I get on a show like this. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so then I'll like have I don't know, it was a couple of years ago. I was having like a really horrible show, and then Sunday.
That's great music, by the way.
I have when people call me, I have the Jaws theme plays on my phone.
That's
So,
even better.
um, but and then someone would come in on Sunday, and buy a bunch of pages, and suddenly you're having the best show ever, right after.
Right.
And then, so I don't even judge anymore until I count the money Sunday night, because I have no idea anymore when people are going to come or when they're not going to come, or what they're going to buy or what they're not going to buy. And it's been every other year for me the last 3 years. I've had a really horrible year, and then a great year, and then a horrible year, and then a great year. Last year I had this last summer I had a really good year. So I guess now I'm planning on a horrible year.
Next year will be bad. Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Skip it and then just go the next year. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Skip all the horrible years, right?
I had been doing it every year. I didn't do the show last year. I went just to hang out. So I hung out with you for a little bit, but I just went as a fan. But every year I was doubling my money. So people say like comics are dead or whatever, but the original artwork market isn't, because I would do better every year. And then as far as commissions lists and pre-commissions, I always did well. And you know how we were talking about our Sunday, I was always thankful about Sunday, because not that I did a lot of business Sunday, but it always gave me time to catch up on all my commissions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about downtime during a convention.
Right.
It's like, at one point you're like, man, I don't want a downtime because I want to be selling all the time. But when you have that downtime, you have a list of sketches and you can just work on them uninterrupted. That's really nice to have those periods in there where, you're just kind of off by yourself and able to get that stuff done.
Isn't that a weird thing to actually look forward to, like it quieting down so you can draw, so you can work? Where the work actually seems like less work,
right,
than the other thing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You're so torn because you're like, okay, I'm a loser. No one's at my table, but I can get so much stuff done. So you're
just watching everybody go to Adam Hughes's booth. Right. Well, this is always behind yours, right?
Right. Well, he's right next to me, and then Terry, we share a booth with Terry. So I always put, come see me at San Diego. I'm the lonely guy between Terry and Adam. That no one's in front of my table. Come see me.
But you have that nice corner though, so you have a lot of visibility. Actually, you have the better spot than Terry. Don't tell Terry, because people can see you from that main corner there. They have to go into the hall, that little aisle, to see Terry.
Well, the thing is that they've got us because we, once you have a booth, if you give it up, you'll never get it back.
Right.
It's different than artists, a little bit different than Artist Alley, although I know it's hard once you leave Artist Alley, it's hard to get back in, but I assume it probably isn't for you. But that booth thing is important. So it's like, they've got us, we've got to go every year if we ever want to go again. So I'll be there probably till I drop dead.
Yeah, it's prime real estate. I wonder if you could like sublease it like out to another artist.
People do that. You're not supposed to, but people do it all the time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I would probably do it if I didn't want to.
Well, I didn't
want to go, but I wanted to keep it.
Yeah, I don't know that there's ever been a time where, there's been times where Terry's like, I don't want to go this year. Or I'm like, I don't want to go this year. I mean, we always end up going because we have to. But I know there's been times where I won't mention anybody's name just in case someone hears this and tells on us or whatever. But that basically didn't want to go one year. So they just rented their booth out to somebody else who came in and sat in that year for them. And then they were right back the next year.
Right.
So you can do it. And I know J. Scott Campbell, and I don't know how he's doing this. I'm only saying his name because I don't know him. So if he gets in trouble, he can't be, if he's mad at me, it makes no difference to me because I don't know him at all. But he was like, and I don't know how you can do this, but he was buying people's booths from them so he could get a bigger island for himself. Wow. And I'm like, wait a minute, how can I sell you my space that I don't own?
Right.
But I don't know how that worked, but he's been able to do it apparently. And I know he wanted our space, but I was like, man, we're not giving this up. This is too good. We're not, because like I said, it took us years. It probably took us 10 years to get a corner spot. And that's, by asking. you know, and they're like,
Right.
"Oh, we don't have any, we don't have any," and then they finally did. So, well, not 10 years because we've been there. I got a booth. I first got a booth in year 2000, and because Dan Brereton and William Stout they always had booths, right? And they said,
That's right. They had that kind of area, right?
yeah, and they were like, "You, Aaron, you got to get a booth. You got to get a booth."
Right.
Stout would always tell me, he said, "But if you get a booth, you got to have merchandise. You got to have stuff to sell." And I said, "All right, all right." And so I finally, you know, I branched out and got a booth in 2000 when everybody else was still in Artist Alley. And part of that was out of the fear that I thought San Diego was trying to get rid of Artist Alley, which I think they have been for years. You know,
They
they're
are, yeah.
shrinking it. So I got the booth and I did really well there, you know, relative to how well I'd done in Artist Alley. And so I started telling everybody, "Oh yeah, I did well this year." And so I had several people that wanted to partner with me in the booth. And so I looked at all the people that wanted to partner with me, and I thought, I am not going to partner with somebody who's less known than I am. I'm going to partner with somebody who's more popular than I am. So
You
you
want
get
to
more
partner up.
right.
Yeah.
So I picked Terry, right? And we were friends already because we were in the studio together, but I had some options. And I thought Terry's the guy, right? He's easiest to get along with and he's more popular than I am. So there's going to be more people at the booth, not less. And so that's what we've been doing. And then we finally, like I said, we finally got, I think it took us 1, 2, 3, 4, or probably 5 years before we actually got the corner booth.
Okay.
And so we've been there for, I think, maybe 6. This might be our 7th year. It might be 12 years in a row now, but I think it's probably our 6th or 7th year in the corner booth. And it's a great spot. It really is.
Right. That's out of the whole con. For me personally, my favorite area is that corner of the show.
Right.
The
That
front
illustrated
corner.
section.
Yeah. I guess if when you're coming in, it's on the left-hand side by that Hall H area. That's my favorite area. I spend all my time there. I don't even go the other side where all the toy companies and the film companies are, because it's you can't get through there and you can't see anything. And I have no interest in that. I go and sometimes I just look at some of the art vendors there and I just look through pages.
Yeah.
You look at your watch or your phone, you realize I've been here for a half hour just looking at artwork, you know?
Awesome. And of course, there's a temptation to spend money you don't have to get really cool artwork that's really expensive.
Yeah.
But no, that's a great section. And it's sort of, I mean, they didn't used to have it sectioned off like that.
Right.
I don't know when they started calling it the illustrators section, but I remember that's where Bill Stout always used to be. And Mark Schultz was down there. Gianni was down there. And I always wanted to be kind of in that crowd, more of the illustrators crowd than the comic book crowd. Because those are the people, you know, I grew up big Frazetta fan and Wrights and Barry Smith when those guys were off doing their own thing, you know, publishing their own works and stuff. And so I always kind of fancied myself. That's what I really want to be as an illustrator, you know. And so I wanted to hang out with those guys or be around those guys. So it was constantly saying, "Put me down by Stout, put me down by Stout." And they finally got us down there. And eventually, like I said, that became the illustrators section. So
and I think that you get the bigger money people in there too, because they know that that's the high art area and they're going to have to drop some money to get artwork there. Unlike like Artist Alley is quite a variety. Like you could have an A-list, you know, artist right next to, you know, a C or D list, like person doing My Little Pony illustrations. Nothing against that, but you do have that variety. And the worst part is some of these shows, I know you know this, Aaron, you have the guy that's selling buttons and doing My Little Pony drawings and he's cleaning up. And you're like, what the hell am I doing?
I know, you're sitting next to a guy you've never heard of, you don't know what he's doing, and he's raking in cash, and you're like, why am I not raking in cash?
Yeah.
Why am I sitting here by myself? And this guy who I've never heard of is just cleaning up. But I think there's a technique. It's because a lot of these guys, that's what they do. They get majority of their income is by doing shows, and they do like tons of shows every year. So there's like a whole system of being a show goer and having product that you know is going to sell at the show. Where you and I, we bring our pages with us that we worked on, right? And if you're going to sell pages, there has to be the right person there that wants the stuff that you worked on and has the money to get it,
Right.
And, sometimes, we do some prints or whatever that kind of reflect our work and have a sketchbook now and again. But these other guys, man, they have merchandise, that's like geared towards selling at these cons, and they got it down.
Well, I look at it too as I'm like, you have merchandise of IPs that you don't own. Like they have like some of this stuff is like illegal beyond illegal.
Right.
And you're like, no way, man. I can't bring myself to that because I have an okay when I negotiated my last contract with DC that I can put their logo on my prints and that I can do that stuff. I can use their licensed IPs. So when you see that when I do art books or I do these things, I have an okay to do that. Right. So I'm not bootlegging or ripping anybody off. That
came about just a couple years ago, and I was kind of in on the ground level of that happening, and because I would always go to them and say, hey, I'm doing this. Is this okay? And I'd send it to like Larry Gainham or whatever and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 100 prints of it, whatever, sell it to the show. Are you guys cool with this? And they would say, yeah, that's fine. And then they came up with that contractual agreement for everybody that worked there that, you could do, they kind of outlined what you could do and they would be okay with it. So officially they're licensing us the ability to do this without charging us for the license.
Well, it's usually in lieu of a higher page rate. So when you're negotiating, they'll go, yeah, you can have this, but we're not going to pay you this.
You're right. Exactly. But you can sell as many Wonder Woman prints as you want. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, I don't think they can control it anyway. So I think it's a no-brainer for them, because people are going to do it regardless. And you would have to have a full-time staff of DC police or Marvel police to go around and shutting people's boots down and doing that kind of thing.
Well, and they that's my phone, but I'm not answering it. So all I get is sales calls anymore anyway. I should cancel my phone. I have a cell phone. Why am I paying for a land phone and a cell phone? It makes no sense.
It does make no sense, yes.
Yeah. But I think it also protects them because they're like saying, okay, we're giving you permission to use our licensed property rather than allowing you to steal it without, them doing anything about it. Now they're officially saying, okay, you can do it. And I think in a strange kind of legal way that sort of protects their copyright.
Right. Well, at the very least, it can separate because they'll go, oh, Aaron Lopresti, I know he works for us.
Right.
And they can probably assume that you have permission to do these things. And then they look at the guy right next to them that's never worked at DC or whatever, and they know, I got to shut that guy down.
Well, I wonder, because I know Marvel, they've always had that sort of kind of look the other way policy as well. But I just can't believe that Disney will continue to do that for much longer. They just don't seem like the kind of company that's okay with you using their licensed property without.
I think it's going to come down to who's going to police it, because even when you go to shows, you see all kinds of Disney, people drawing Disney stuff, selling Disney prints, things like that. So you see the bootleg stuff with Disney, like Disney characters, like IPs, like their cartoon stuff.
They get really pissy about their.
Oh, do they?
The Disney proper stuff, like Mickey Mouse, and I mean they'll drag you to court for that stuff. They seem to be fairly lenient on the Marvel stuff, but that's why I said I keep wondering, with Marvel and Star Wars, and how long they're going to put up with that before they really start trying to put people in conventions to go and shut people down. But They haven't done it yet. So, but they are the evil empire, Disney is. So we eventually the dark side's going to take over, and they'll.
Well, Disney's the devil, but Marvel was pretty much the devil even before they emerged. Yeah, I have some Marvel stories.
We all have Marvel stories.
Yeah. DC is the kinder, nicer.
They really are. I mean, and that's not like I don't like. I mean, did a lot of work for Marvel over the years. So did you, and I got along with a lot of guys, but. There's some actually I think it's more, and I haven't worked for Marvel for 7 or 8 years.
Same.
there was some guys there editorially that were real jerks that aren't there anymore that caused me most of the problems I had. So I don't know if it was, the upper echelon that was the problem as much as it was some particular editors who really were jerks.
Yeah, individuals versus the company as a whole. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, there was a guy named David Bogart at Marvel, and I don't mind naming names because I would, if nothing better, I'd love to never work at Marvel again. But he told me, Aaron, he and CB said, you will never work at Marvel again, period.
What did you do?
They accused me of stealing talent like it was in my power to do.
Yeah, stealing talent, how? I mean, to what?
Yeah, it was New York Comic Con, and I went. You know how there's always, you get asked out to lunch by this editor or this person or whatever, and so there's people around. You go, hey, you want to come along? That happens all the time, right? So I was going to meet with my DC editor, and we are going to go, because New York Con, DC was at New York at the time, so we went over to DC Comics, and while we were there, while I was walking over there, I met. It was David Finch, and it was Mark Bagley. And so I asked them, I said, do you want to come to lunch with me? So Mark said yes, but Dave did not. So I went over there. This is normal stuff, right? This happens all the time. Yeah. And so we had lunch, but as we were leaving to go to lunch, Dan DiDio said, hey, do you mind if I hang with you guys? So then it was Joan Hilty, Dan, Mark, and myself. So we went out to lunch. And of course, Dan asked Mark if he ever wanted to work at DC Comics, the door's open. This is still fairly normal, right? This happens all the time. Yeah. And so then the con goes on. As I'm coming back, CB's there. And then CB asks me, he said, are you going to do the Batman book with Dave Finch? And I said, DC asked Dave Finch. Dave asked me to ink. That's all I know. He said, so is it a go? And I said, I don't know. And then he asked me some other stuff. So that was that, right? So go back to work. This is a couple weeks later. I get a call from David Bogart and CB, and they're going to fire me. They're firing me from Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Spider-Man. And I asked them why. And they said, because they have it that I was trying to steal talent and bring them over to DC. And I said, I'm an inker, man. I don't have, how do I have the power to do this? I don't have any power to do this at all. I said, all it was, if this is what you're referring to, all we did was go to lunch. That's all we did. And Dan did ask Mark. And that I do know that when Jim Lee finished his Hush run, that Dave and I were asked to continue the run after Jim Lee left. That's all I know. That's fact. But how is it in my power to steal any talent? And he said, we have it on good. What did they always say? We have proof. And I said, furnish the proof. They said, we can't. We don't want to throw the guy under the bus, but we assure you that it's fact and you're fired. And then David added this little thing. He had this little screw, right? He said, and you will never work here again. And I never did.
Well, it's interesting because I have a pretty good relationship with Bogart, and I don't know CB really well, but I know him, so it's so weird because I run into people that they can't stand Dan DiDio. You know what I mean? Oh, I hate Dan DiDio. And I love Dan. I get along great with Dan. And so it's just weird. I think it's like the Chevy Ford thing. Everybody has a personal experience, and sometimes it ain't, and I'm, so I wouldn't badmouth either of those guys because I don't have any reason to, you know what I mean? But I can certainly see how you would be frustrated with a situation like that and be like, what?
It was the added little turn of the screw, right? It's like, and you will never work here again. Like, what the hell? And the only thing I can think of is because I called Mark Bagley and I called Dave Finch after that. And David or CB called them before they fired me. And they let them know that what they were doing. And I believe what Marvel was doing is they knew that they potentially were going to lose those two guys to DC. Because at the time, Dan was actually, and this is to Dan's credit, he was throwing money at people, because I know, because he hired me over there after I got fired from Marvel, and he gave me a better page rate and treated me way better. But so I think they wanted to send out a message to Dave and to Mark that if they tried to do this, that they would fire them and basically kind of crucify them in the same way that they did me. So,
well, you know what I find, and this stuff goes on, and people get mad, and for switching back and forth to companies. But if you're a popular artist, or whatever, however they define that, it's like this stuff is. I had a long conversation with an editor at Marvel about another artist, and I won't, I'm not going to drop any names or anything like that, but basically saying that he was a little upset that this artist had, jumped ship and gone over to DC at the time he had. How could they fire Fart? Oh no, here we go with that.
The jalapeno coffee
milk, yeah. And they said, and I said, don't give me that crap. I said, you will hire him back the second he wants to come back, and he goes, oh, don't be so sure about that. Loyalty is important. And I was like, yeah, since when?
Yeah.
And so I think, there's kind of a double standard in regards that if you're considered by editorial, whether that's DC or Marvel or within the industry, of being a big name, whether that's, inking or penciling or whatever, you can piss people off, and then they generally forget if they can get you back, because then it becomes kind of like, well, we're going to screw DC over and take them back, and
right.
these kind of things. So I don't know, unless you end up in a real personal conflict with somebody that they just hate your guts.
Right.
I kind of let that stuff sort of, you're going to.
I know I never had a fight with David. I was sending him Ultimate Spider-Man pages, like as gifts, just as a thank you for letting me work on this book, because I knew he was the scheduling editor and stuff like that. So, and I sent to Ralph Macchio and Joe Quesada and stuff like that as well. And I remember I talked to Joe sometime later, and Joe said, we would like to have you back. And he said, but there's just one obstacle. And he said, and it's not a big deal. He said, all you'd have to do is apologize to David Bogart. And I said, if I had done something wrong, I would humble myself and apologize. But as far as I know, I didn't do anything. And he said, well, there you go. And so I know that Chris Bocello, and there was a couple other artists that were trying to get me over there, to ink their books. Mm-hmm. And it was the same thing. And I remember I did have a conversation with David, and he goes, for what you did and how you hurt me and trying to screw over Marvel, he said, I will hire you back and we will forgive and forget. He said, but you're going to be hired in a lower page rate and you're not going to start on these books. So I was like, I got a great gig at DC. I don't need this. It would be fun to ink Chris and, stuff like that. But also I'm a 35-year comic book veteran. I have to start all over again and build my resume and my trust up at Marvel. Marvel, we sold millions of comics for you. We've made you millions of dollars with these books. Like, you're going to treat me like this? This is crazy, Well,
it's interesting because I'm not opposed to, I do work for Archie, and I've done some stuff for Dynamite, some covers for Dynamite. And so I'm not opposed to, and sometimes I think about, because Marvel still has some really great characters,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been on exclusive for DC for years, so I could actually work for Marvel again if they'd have me. But I keep hearing stuff about, they've lowered page rates and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm kind of like, and it's been comfortable at DC because, like I said, they treat me really, really well. And I know a lot of guys over there, and they keep giving me work. So it's kind of like, if they keep giving you work, it's kind of like it's sort of, there's no reason to go looking for work if you keep getting it,
Right. Especially when they have Justice League on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of excited about that, which is funny because it'll be like because I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I'm thinking this may be the highest profile project I've ever been on. and it's funny that it's taken this long that for me to actually get a high profile project. I mean, I did Planet Hulk, but when we did Planet Hulk, it wasn't high profile. It became high profile after.
Right.
Right.
Because it was good. Yeah. It caught
Yeah.
on. That's the best way to get, popularity.
Right. But it was like, it wasn't, I mean, in something like that, you almost have to do Planet Hulk. It's like Simonson. If Simonson had done like 6 issues of Thor, right, with Beta Ray Bill and then left, everybody gone, oh, this is really cool. But then they probably would have, wouldn't have stuck with him. But the fact that he was on it for years after that, it's like everybody jumped onto that. And then it just became this iconic run, right? And I think that kind of happened with me and Greg Pak. We did, and of course, Carlos Peglione did half of it. It's not like I did the whole thing.
Right.
But actually, he did more than half of it. But, if I had, let's say we did Planet Hulk, and then they said, Aaron, we want you to take over Hulk going forward after this. I think then you kind of benefit from the popularity when it gets popular after the fact, because you're still on the book.
Right.
I think you can benefit from it.
I'm sorry, you were reading it.
Yeah, I was. If prestige and money are good and they treat you better, it's a no-brainer. There you go. Man. And but I jumped over to Ms. Marvel, right? And I did 2 years on Ms. Marvel before I went over to DC. And Ms. Marvel wasn't that big of a deal. That now she is because of the movie. Then she's Captain Marvel. But no one's going, oh yeah, I remember 9 years ago when Aaron did this run on Ms. Marvel. Right. It's like it totally detached from it. So.
That Planet Hollywood, that Planet Hulk stuff was amazing. Yeah, that was a great run. Those designs. Did you do the designs, the armor and stuff, or was that some?
No, that was Carlo, because he was the regular artist on Hulk, and Dan Panosian, who was the editor, called me up and said, "Hey, Carlo, like most guys, is having trouble. I guess they weren't convinced that he could meet the deadlines." Because it was really hard to draw, because it was like drawing Spartacus, but with the Hulk, right? And there was just so much stuff. And so they brought me in, so that we were going to do alternating story arcs. So he did the first one. So he basically did most of the design work, and then I came in after him, and I did some character design stuff, but it wasn't there wasn't the groundwork that he had laid down for the, creating the whole world.
Right.
Stuff I created, I based on how he had done it originally. So he gets the lion's share of the credit, which he should. But I'm still thankful that I got an opportunity to, work. I mean, I think all things considered, I think he ended up doing about 23 pages. I think I counted once, 23 pages more than I did. So it wasn't a ton more, but it was, he did most of the design work and stuff. I just kind of got to.
The interesting thing about that run is I always think of you as defining the run. Maybe I'm just more of an Aaron Lopresti fan. But
Carlo, I think, is like a South American artist. Right? I don't even think he lives in the States.
Yeah. So
I have clearly, at least in the United States, I have way more exposure than he does. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. In fact, when they did why do you look so blue? See, I told you. When we did the original, they did the animated movie, right?
Yeah.
They had a special features section on it, and they came to this studio and interviewed me. So I'm on the special features, right? And because they were like, I'm not flying to Brazil to film 5 minutes of Carlo or wherever he's from. I know he's from South America someplace. And they said, so we're not going to, so I ended up being on the special edition of the video, and I got no credit, screen credit.
Oh, really?
When they did, you see, it goes, they do the intro, and it's like Planet Hulk, based on the comic by Greg Pak and Carlo Peglione. And I'm like, hello, I'm on the special features, but I'm not even mentioned as one of the guys who, worked.
That happens more times than it should. It's happened to me as well. And it seems to always work on the highest profile things you work on, where you really need the promotion.
Right. Right.
It doesn't happen.
Use my name, Like, no, you're the third guy, so you don't get mentioned. You know, like, ah.
So, Aaron, you wanna shift gears a little bit and talk
Yes.
about the here and now?
Let's do it,
I
man.
know you need money.
My campaign needs money. As you know, most of the money that goes into the campaign does not come to us.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to pay for the campaign. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, yes.
Just so this was approved by Aaron, I showed him this before we went on. I thought it was funny. Aaron and I rib each other all the time, so it's all
You
good.
can't have a little fun with this stuff, right? And it's full disclosure, right? I mean, come on. When I put a fixed goal of 35 grand up on there, I mean, that's full disclosure, people. I'm not horsing around and saying, you know, I don't really want to do this project. I said, this is what it costs to do this book. So please, let me tell a story. Okay.
Okay, tell the story.
So I'm on Twitter, right? Like most of us are. And, I put up this Twitter post. I said, because there's a lot of comic collectors, and I'm a comic collector myself, and so I have a lot of followers that are comic collectors. So it was kind of a post to them. I said to my comic collector friends out there, I said, should I buy an FF112, which is the Thing Hulk black cover, you know, where they're facing off, that classic cover, 9.2 for $600, or should I get a Thor 126, which is technically the first issue of Thor when it switched over from Journey into Mystery to Thor, right, from 1966. There's a 9.2 up, and I said, for $1,000, or should I just save my money, right? You know, that was the thing. So I was just trying to start a conversation, right? Well, some guy tweets me back, and he says, if you have enough money, if you have $1,000 to spend on comic books, you have $1,000 to put into your Indiegogo campaign. So why don't you put your money into your Indiegogo campaign and lower your fixed goal? Right? And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, how would you react if someone did that to you, right?
The same way. I think my face said everything there.
Like, I couldn't believe it. But I thought, okay, maybe he's messing with me. You know, he's just trolling me a little bit, right? So I just typed in and I said, wow. You know, that I sent that to him, you know, because I wasn't sure if he was joking with me or, you know. And so then he comes back and he goes, well, I'm not sure how to take that. He goes, and I said, well, I'm not sure how to take your response. I said, I'm not sure if you were taking a shot at me or if you're just joking with me. And he goes, no, I'm totally serious, man. You know, and I went, and then it was like, you sit there and you really sort of have to measure your response, right? Because you're so hot, you could just like explode on this person.
Right.
But I thought that's not the way to go. So I said, I basically told him, I said, well, I said, my fixed goal is what it costs to produce the comic, you know, and I don't want to lose money, right? You know, I don't want to do a project and lose money. That doesn't make any smart business sense.
Right.
And so he responds with, well, there's some of that stuff you need to absorb yourself, you know, like I read your description and it said you're hiring top pros to work on this, which, you know, I got Matt Ryan inking, John Cleese coloring. I have a letterer. Warren Montgomery is lettering for me. And so these are guys I'm paying. And he's like, you should pay for that out of your own pocket. Right. And so, I mean, he just keeps
the best thing is this guy hasn't even backed the book. Like he hasn't even done anything. Like,
well, actually, he had. So here, this is interesting. Yeah, here's the thing. His description was that he was a writer, you know, and so, well, so I said, okay, so you're saying I should absorb some costs. I said, so you mean like I should not factor in the cost for me writing the script? I go, oh, I didn't. And I said, oh, no, I should like eat the cost for doing the limited edition print. Oh, I already did that. And I should eat the cost for doing the wraparound dust jacket for the limited edition. I go, oh, I already did that. You know, and I said, so how much of this do you think I should do for free? Right. And that's when he brought in the thing about, well, you should pay out of your own pocket these other people. So, and I'm like, I so badly wanted to say, excuse me, are you my dad? Who are you to tell me how I should spend my money? And when, you know, it's like your dad going, well, if you can spend $100, you know, $10,000 on that new car, you should, you know, and you're like,
be able to pay me rent.
yeah, exactly. There's not even two things aren't even related. You know, right. My post about a comic book, whether I should buy a comic book or the fixed goal on my. And so I asked the guy, I said, because he kept coming back at me, and I said, are you a full-time professional writer, or do you do this on the side, as you know, and you have a day job? Well, he took offense to that, and I didn't mean it to be offensive. I was curious. I was seriously curious, because so he comes back and has a screenshot that he had taken of his successful Indiegogo campaigns as a horror writer, right? And he goes, I raised over $80,000 on Indiegogo with successful campaigns, you know. And he goes, so what does that have to do with anything? And I said, it has everything to do with it. I said, because I'm a professional artist and a writer. That's what I do full time. So I said, if I do this Indiegogo campaign, I have to step away from my job that pays me to do this. And therefore, I cannot afford to lose money. I can't just take 2 months off work, right, to do this project and lose money. And so I said, you are in a position where you have a day job, and you writing in the evening does not affect your day job. So you can lose money on your project or not get paid to do it, and it's not going to affect your income because you still have your regular job. And I said, and I finally said, and by the way, you know, my post to the comic book collectors was kind of a fun way to kind of start a conversation about the, you know, which comic they valued more. I said, I don't have $1,000 to drop on this book. And I'm sorry that you felt that was an invitation for you to come in and take a shot at me. And then I never heard from him again, because it was just the most absurd thing. I was like, who do you think you are, that you have a right to say something like that to somebody, especially somebody you don't even know? Yeah. You know, it really fired me up. As you can tell, I'm still fired up about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just kind of like mind your own business. Mm-hmm. You know, like when I was a kid, my mom, you know, I'd get fired up and say, this guy did this, X, Y, Z. And she just said, well, just mind your own business. Don't worry about what those guys are doing. Just do your own thing over here. So, you know, I've kind of always tried to keep that in my, you know, always the back of my mind. And then also there's one thing, it was in one of my favorite movies is Grosse Point Blank. And so he's a hitman. And right. So he says, it's not personal. It's not personal.
That's when he goes to his high school reunion, right?
Right. It's a great movie. I love that movie. And so, you know, he always says it's not personal. So then he ends up getting into a fight with another hitman, and he kills the guy. And then the girlfriend that he's trying to get back together with sees this. He's holding, like, he's got a pin, and he just shoved it in the guy's neck at the reunion in the middle of the hallway at the school. There's lockers and stuff like that. The fight was great. It was before like the big like Born Identity fights where they would get really nasty but more realistic fights versus Hollywood choreographed fights, you know. And so then he just turns to her and he's got the bloody pin and he just says, it's not personal. It's not personal. And so his whole thing is, there was another guy earlier on that wanted to start a fight with him. He goes, listen to me. He goes, you don't want to fight with me. He goes, you don't even know who I am. You know what I mean? We have no connection. We have nothing. There's nothing between us. So right. Why are you so mad? Why is this happening? Right. You don't know me. I don't really know you. So why are we doing this? So I always think, like, I try to flip that switch, because it's hard. Like you said, you want to be reactionary, right? You want to just give them back something. But at the same time, you're like, you mean nothing to me. You don't exist in my world. You know what I mean? Like, you're not anybody I truly care about. You're not friends. You're not family. You know, you're just an acquaintance on, you know, Twitter. You know?
Well, I heard from the guy on Twitter before, and I'll put up with a lot. I really will. But the one thing I won't put up with is someone who comes in, and this tweet that he sent back to me was presumptuous, condescending, and those are things I cannot stand.
Right.
You know, I mean, I sat at a table at the Ink Pots, or what's the awards at Eisner's at San Diego?
The Eisner Awards.
Yeah. I was a nobody. I mean, I was young. I had hair, new to the industry. And I was sitting at a table with Harlan Ellison, right? And they were having a conversation, the people at the table. And I was listening, you know, and I finally interjected something into the conversation. He looks at me and then turns away and starts going back to the conversation again. And I lost my mind. And Harlan and I got into it for like 20 minutes at this table. You should have seen the eyes of the people sitting at the table. who is this no-name arguing and taking shots at him? I was so ticked. I was like, because in my mind, I'm like, I don't care that you're more, bigger name than I am. Don't treat me like I'm subhuman. And that's what he did. And that's why I went off. We ended up being friends at the end of the whole thing. It was kind of funny, but it was a classic. It's a tale for other time, but that's one thing I just can't stand. It's like, don't you come at me like the gatekeeper for Indiegogo, and that because I have a fixed goal that you think is, why would you even care what my fixed goal is? Why is that?
You're going to be, Aaron, you're going to be the one that's going to pay the price regardless for your decision. It doesn't affect him at all. That's why I was saying it's not personal. There's nothing personal between you guys.
Right.
Whether you fail or succeed, it has nothing to do with him.
And also the idea that somehow I didn't talk to anybody before I did this Indiegogo campaign. I just launched it, a completely naive and stupid. Believe me, I talked to everybody 100 times about this, and I knew that fixed goal was high, but I also knew that I wasn't willing to roll the dice and put myself in a position where I would lose money and put myself in a bad spot. Because I think everybody, you, Ethan, Mike Miller, all these guys are telling me, hey, this is the wave of the future. Well, if it's truly the wave of the future, then we need to be able to sell books at a volume that we can make a living doing it, or it's not really the wave of the future, right?
Right.
It's just kind of a cottage little thing off to the side where every once in a while someone gets lucky and, like Ethan, and makes, $1 million. I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to just break even.
Just put out a book. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Cause 34, is that what you're at?
5,000.
Yeah. That's not going to get you rich. That's going to pay for that book. That's an expensive book because it's hardbound, right?
Right. That, if you take in the printing costs and the shipping to get the book shipped to me from the printer, is $10,500 before I even start. Right. Now you factor in, as you guys do, and someone told me this, right? This is one of the things I wasn't aware of that I had to do, is you have to factor in your shipping costs.
I told you that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it was you. So I've got, and I talked to Brereton, who did a bigger book, an art book and stuff like that. And he's like, you got to factor in $5,000 to $6,000 for shipping, because if you hit the numbers of, 600 to 1,000 copies, you need to have at least $5,000 to $6,000. So I said, okay, I'm factoring in $6,000 for shipping. Okay. I'm at 16.5 right now, just for printing and shipping costs.
And that's not paying your artist or your talent.
That's not paying my artist or the platform fees that you're charged.
The 10, almost. What is it? 8%? Yeah.
I think it's 7% in Indiegogo. It's higher at Kickstarter, I think.
Yeah.
And so you start factoring those things in, and then of course I'm not asking. Everybody asks a friend once in a while, hey, can you do a cover for me or whatever like that, and they either say yeah or not. But I'm not asking someone to come in that's a professional inker and really good and say, hey, can you ink this for free?
Right.
You like me? No, I'm going to pay you your page rate. And if I don't pay you your page rate, you may agree to do it, but then you're going to hack the job out, right? Because you just want to get it done and get on to working on Batman or whatever you're supposed to be working on.
Right.
And so I give these guys their full page rate, and I say, that's, and I didn't, like I said, I put in some money to cover my penciling costs, but I didn't put any money to cover my writing costs. And I didn't put any money to do all the extra stuff I'm doing, So
and stuff you're doing right now, like this is promotion time. This is time away from the board.
It's supposed to be going up right now.
Yeah, that you're not making money at, and yeah, the what I'm doing though. I mean, you were talking earlier. Got the window open here. Okay. Is like I'm playing the gamble or taking the gamble because I don't really want to go back to Marvel or DC. I don't want to go back to the mainstream. So I want to stay here. I have Hollywood representation, and I kind of have dabbled in it for the last 25 years. In my spare time, creating IPs, trying, take the Hollywood meetings and doing these things. So what I want to do right now is I feel like I got to crap or get off the pot, kind of thing. So I only have, I'm 58 now. I'm older than you.
You are. I wanted to make sure that everybody knows.
Everyone knows. Yeah.
But I'm not.
Yeah. And I have 35 years in the business. And at some point you go, when are you going to do these things?
Right.
When are you going to do all these things that you've been talking about for the last 25 years? And you know as well as I do, I even heard Ethan say it, is we get good at just keeping our head down, right? Because that's how you make your money. You
Right.
keep your head down, you look at the board, and you just do. And that's what you become good at. You become proficient at that. And then you kind of block everything else out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got really good at that. But this is completely different. This actually, you have to do this, that. You have to wear many hats. You have to be your editor. You have to be your promotion. You have to be the letterer. You have to be editor. You have to be writer, penciler, inker. You have to be all these things. And I'm finding it very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it because it's different than keeping your head down. You know what I mean? And I can tell you're enjoying just hanging out and talking about these stories because we don't get to tell, you know what I mean? We kind of work in that little room and we don't get to tell these stories. And fanzines and a lot of that stuff don't exist the way they used to, Wizard magazine. And a lot of the stuff that even on this stream, Aaron, that you and I have shared, these are really personal stories. You wouldn't tell these in an interview format, in a magazine or something like that.
It's out there forever and I'm screwed. So
yeah. So you say these things off the cuff, while you're live and you're hanging out with friends. And so that's what I want to do. I really want to stay in this arena. So, but I understand where you're at because when I launched the first 2 Kickstarters, I was the same place. I was like, I don't want to go all in yet because what if it doesn't work out?
Right.
You know what I mean? All those things. So the only reason I'm doing this now is, to be honest, I am pulling money from my investments and I am augmenting some of these ventures because I really believe in them and I want to do them. So I am investing my own money into these ventures. I am putting, not just my energy, but my money as well into these things. And for me, at this point, it's just important for me to tell these stories. You know what I mean? Like we all have these things. You can't explain why you do what you do, Aaron, because I know you could make more money doing advertising. You could move to New York City and become an ad guy, right? And you could be rich beyond belief. And I could do the same. But we don't do this don't do that is because we love what we do. We love the silly comic book art industry
too, and it's telling your story when you're doing your own thing, and that that's a really rewarding experience. And that's the other thing this guy said. See, I can't get off this guy, but the other thing he said was basically kind of lecturing me about how you need to sacrifice for your art. And I'm like, dude, I've been sacrificing my art for 30 years.
Exactly.
When I was young and trying to break in, which a lot of guys doing Indiegogo stuff are right now. It's like, yeah, you take the hit because you want to get your product out there, right? And get your name out there. So you sacrifice to do that. Well, we've all done that. You did that. I did that 30 years ago, right? And now we're getting to a point where it's like, you're like you said, you got your head down, you're drawing, you're doing this. It's kind of like, I got bills to pay. Everybody's got bills to pay, right? So you can't just, throw everything away that you've worked for 30 years in hopes that something works out. You do it kind of incrementally, right? Until you're convinced that this is the way to go. And so
nobody can explain that to you. That has to be a decision you make. Like you, at some point, you have to go, this is worthwhile for me. And then you have that conversation with your wife and you say, I don't know what is going to happen. You know what I mean? If you choose to go more independent, but it's something that's burning inside. It's something I have to do, and I have to get it out. I have to tell these stories.
Well, the other side of that is the inevitable side of it is eventually you run, like you said, you had problems with, over at Marvel, like some personality conflicts, right? Or you get to an age where people are like, yeah, your style's not cool anymore. We don't need you, right?
Right.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, I've got all these IPs that I never did anything with, and now I have no work. So that's kind of my motivation right now is like, how much longer do I have in the industry before I become undesirable for whatever reason, because I've been, and I'm sure you've felt this way too at different times in your career where you've been desirable, and then you've not been desirable. Then you've been desirable, and then you've not been desirable.
Right.
And it's always that roller coaster. And when age starts catching up with you, whether your talent is diminishing or not, which I don't think yours is, and I don't think mine is at this point, but when all your editors are 20 something and you're 50 something, you know, and you walk in the office, they go, wow, I had no idea you're such an old dude. You know, I'm going to call somebody else who's young.
Yeah. Let me read the super chat. Aaron, remarketing, you are not tagging your YouTube videos. So I think this is advice.
Yeah, I've got a, that's not true. I have my Indiegogo in my description of every one of my videos has a link to the Indiegogo, if that's what you're talking about.
He might be talking about tagging your videos, like you know,
oh no, I write
privately where you say like comic books or Indiegogo or crowdfunding.
Like 20 tags, and they're, why are they not? How do they? I don't understand.
I don't know how Aaron even would know that you're not tagging unless he is talking about what you're saying, that you're not tagging your
Well, I do that every time I put a video that comes up tags, and I write in all these tags and put them in. So I assume I don't know what else to do. I don't. If it's not working, I don't know why it wouldn't be working. Maybe
he can clarify in the chat what he's talking about, because I don't think they have access to what you're tagging.
Yeah, that's what someone mentioned that to me before. You need to tag in your videos. And I go, well, I am. I think I am anyway. At least I'm following the steps to tagging. If it's not working, then maybe I'm screwing something up, which is pretty likely considering it's me and technology. Don't really.
Yeah, maybe he'll clarify in the chat, so I'll keep my eye on that. But yeah,
I'm going to throw this out too. This,
go ahead.
Now, see, I do it where, there we go. Okay. This, I just got this back from the printer. This is a hardcover 20-year anniversary sketchbook, 64 pages.
Beautiful.
And it really came out great. I don't know what's better, the smell of new printing or the smell of an old comic book. But
yeah.
Now this is something, and see, I've been doing self-publishing of this nature for almost my entire career. Oh, great. Here comes Mike Miller to call me old man. Thanks, Mike.
I think he's calling me old man too.
Yeah, it's the old man talk session. But you know, I just dumped almost $5,000 into publishing this, right? And I've got boxes of these. They just came back. I'm not really pushing them right now because I don't want to be in conflict with my Garbage Man campaign. It's like, give me money for the sketchbook, but screw my Garbage Man campaign. So these were basically, I printed these up to take with me to conventions and stuff, right? So you have some product, but even now I'm still, you know, that was a lot of money to invest into this book. And now I have to sell, you know, X amount of copies of this just to break even for the money I've already invested in it. And so, you know, those of you who maybe think that we're not doing that, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Always investing in yourself and taking a hit and hoping, but you can't do it on everything, right? Or we'd all be bankrupt. So
exactly.
I may be bankrupt because of this if I don't sell enough copies, but
it's like your San Diego Comic-Con analogy. You know, you do well here and then you take a hit there and then you know, it's cyclical. It happens. And it's what connects with people as well. You know, because some things, some of your ideas, some of your ventures will connect better than others. Some will be promoted better than others, and that's just the crapshoot. So that's why I think that the Indiegogo platform is a really worthwhile platform. And if we're going to do more IPs, or if you're going to do more IPs, I think it's a great place to be because you can go directly to your crowd. You can build a crowd. And you can market directly to them. And that's something that DC and Marvel cannot do because they're a corporation, we're individuals. So YouTube and the internet as a whole is more designed for people like us actually than corporations. I think that, you know, corporations are trying to take control over YouTube, but at this point in time, we actually have, I think we have a better accessibility, and we can be genuine and sell our products and sell ourselves directly to people. So you want to go to your Indiegogo? I can share it with people, and you can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, if you can do that. If you have the technology, Art, let's do that.
I do. I can rebuild him. Let's do this.
Well,
only the old timers will know what I'm talking about there.
Exactly, us kids from the '70s. But
yeah, I loved the $6 Million Man. That was my favorite show.
It was cool. It was like a superhero show before there were superhero shows.
Exactly. So this is Garbage Man, the fan favorite monster hero returns from writer, artist, creator Aaron Lopresti.
That would be me, Old Man Lopresti, as Mike Miller refers to me.
Yeah, so you officially kicked my butt yesterday. So it looks like you're still going strong. You have 182 backers, and you have 13 days left. So one good thing, Aaron, is you're already past, or you're getting past that kind of dry middle spell of your crowd fund. So you're kind of heading towards that last part. So you should be getting more people back to your campaign.
A lot of people, and I'm just as guilty when I see a campaign. You're like, oh, 40 days. I'll come back and do it later. And some people have been. Billy Tucci suggested that I suggested that I extend the campaign. Part of me is I'm not really sure if I want to do that or not, because I think that just encourages people to wait another 30 days before they before they sign up for it, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see if we can hit that goal, because what I've done some math, and I basically what I need is 600 backers to pull this off, and I've got 180 right now. And you sit there and think 600, that's not that many. When this first got published through DC, it was readership of 19,000 people. Can I find those 600 of those people to come back and do this? But it's proven to be quite a bit more difficult than I would have imagined to get 600 backers. But I've had over almost 5,000 visits to this page. And you'd think that out of 5,000 visits, some of those are repeat visits, of course, but you figure, gosh, there's got to be 600 people out there that want this product. And that's the amazing thing about the crowdfunding is, it's like with Ethan, right? He made what would close to, with everything he's done, I think he told me last night, he was close to $1 million total for Cyberfrog, right?
Yeah.
He's got, as last I checked, he's got around 17,000 backers. Okay. You can't do it, Marvel and DC. You can't sell a book. You can't do a book that has 17,000 readers and make $1 million. Now, not all that's going into Ethan's pocket, of course. Like we said, there's a large percentage of that that's platform fees and shipping and printing and all that kind of stuff. But still, DC, they sell, the way it's set up, they sell a comic book for 17,000 copies. That's borderline getting canceled because they're losing money, right?
Yeah, that's failure. Yeah.
Whereas you do it on Indiegogo as an individual, and it's a huge success.
Well, if you can, like with Black and White, we did, what was it, like 15 or something like that, maybe 1,700 backers.
Mm-hmm.
When you're at 1,700 backers, you can actually do well. Like, you know what I mean? Like exceptionally well.
Right.
Meaning that you can kind of, it can buy you time. What these things are, and the way I'm looking at it is, these are investments into the next crowd fund. So if I overfund or I do very well, then that money also goes back into the next crowd fund, even if it's just allows me the time to write and draw it.
Right.
It gives me that kind of flexibility, the money does. So overfunding these things is also good if you're going to stay in these arenas.
Right.
Yeah.
I just put up a video not too long ago on my YouTube channel that basically shows all these different properties that I have that I want to do. So I want to do more. The unique thing about Garbage Man, and I'll throw this out there since we're on the page kind of as a plug, is it's not just a comic book. Okay. This is a combination of an art book and a comic, right? So this is an oversized hardcover, like European size, 9 1/4 by 12 1/4 book. And it's 170 pages, so it collects all the DC material, but it also has new material in it as well. I was going to originally just do a collection, right, like a trade paperback, but it's the best artwork I really think I've ever done in comics, or right up there. And so I really wanted a larger format that showed off the artwork better, right? And so people are buying, not just buying a graphic novel, you're buying kind of a coffee table art book graphic novel. And so maybe that's working against me a little bit, although I think the price at $35 is pretty, guys are charging $40 on Indiegogo for a 48-page comic.
Yeah, it's a great price. And I did an art book as well a couple years back. And those what you're describing is kind of a magazine size book.
Right.
Those hardback, that format that you're talking about, those are really expensive per unit to print. And if you don't get a good print run, it becomes very problematic as far as your per book breakdown, as far as what you're paying.
Yep.
Because some of these books can be like $5 to $8 a piece just to print them.
Well, this sketchbook I did, now again, this is a 64-page, 8 by 10 inches hardcover, right? It's a pretty.
If you're holding something up, I don't think they can see it because
I'm holding up my face, so it's on. Well, yeah, you've got that on the screen, but yeah, that's true. But the one I showed earlier, that the unit cost. Well, I don't know if I should say the unit cost, because then you're kind of, why are you charging that much for it? But they're expensive per unit, and I can't remember exactly what it is on this, but like I said, the printing cost just for this book is over $10,000, and that's a pretty reasonable price for printing. Because I checked with a lot of different publishers or printers, and that's a pretty good price. But that's still a lot of money to lay out for, a book. But then again, it's an oversized hardcover with a lot of pages. So
right. What is your print run?
Well, I got it quoted at 1,000 because I was hoping, I knew I had to hit between 600 or 700 people. And then I figured, well, if I hit the goal and we're at 600 or 700, I leave the in-demand store open. A few people come in afterwards, right? While I'm working on it. And so I got quoted at 1,000. If I only hit 600, or let's say I get this funded at 575, whatever, I may only print run of 750. So it'll be limited edition any way you look at it. Because that's a lot of inventory to have stacked up in your house. Now, granted, most of it's pre-sold, so it won't be in your house for all that long. But still, the extra stuff would be stuff I would take with me to conventions and things like that.
Those books are heavy to carry to shows too.
I know. Everybody says don't do hardcovers because they're so heavy, but I'm old school, man, and I love hardcovers. I love that. That kind of feeling of it feels more substantial and more important. You know what I mean?
Well, those are the things I buy. Like when I go to shows, those are the books I get. And then by the end of the day, you're always like, why did I buy all these? And then you get them home. This is why I have bookshelves full of these great art books, man.
So do I. But
I have all of your sketchbooks, dude. The Ashcan size ones.
I know. Well, I quit doing those. I did the big one now. But the thing is, when you do like a trade paperback, especially if I did this just as a trade paperback and it's 120 pages and I didn't do any new artwork or anything, just, the DC stuff, the spines on those things don't last because it's all glued in there, right?
Yeah, they fall apart.
When you do a hardcover, it's stitched in there, and your spine is going to last a lot longer when you're, I'm not saying these, you read the book every single day, but you pick it up and thumb through it. And so I just wanted something that was going to last and be substantial. Now, if I did further projects, I wouldn't do necessarily, I'm going to do another Garbage Man hardcover or one of my other properties, Kit Carter, that I might do.
That's the one I want to see is the Kit Carter stuff.
Well, that's next up after this. If this, whether this is successful or not, I've got so much work done on Kit Carter. That's going to be the next thing. I launched the Garbage Man stuff first because it had a pre-existing audience, or at least I thought it did. And I had all that material that had never been put into trade paperback, and I really wanted it collected. So that's kind of the reasoning why I did Garbage Man as opposed to Kit Carter or one of the other properties that no one knows anything about.
Yeah.
So,
well, you want to talk about the tiers real quick, and then we can come back.
Oh my gosh, we've been on an hour. I promised myself I'd only be on an hour with you this time.
Okay, well, we can wrap this up, and I can plug my book.
Well, I'll do. Yeah, let's go over the tiers real quick.
Okay.
So basically, you have a standard hardcover, which it has all the DC material. Now, Batman was in the original DC material, so that has to be removed and replaced with my characters. So there's going to be some new art, even if you happen to have the miniseries that were published through DC. You're going to get new material in the reprinted stuff. And then there's sketchbook material. And then there's going to be a brand new story that right now is about 13 pages long, and it could grow a little bit depending on how things work out. And with that and all the chapter heading art and different things like that, you're looking at anywhere between 160 and 170 pages. And that's just the standard edition hardcover, right?
Right.
So then there's the signed edition that's remarked. That's an additional $10. That's $45. So you get like it's signed, and you get a little garbage man head sketch by the signature. Okay, so that's $10 more. Then there's the collector's edition, which is $70. Those are all signed and numbered, limited to 275 copies. And thank you, Awful Redneck Gaming. Thank you. That's true. I agree with you.
He's a good guy.
Thank you for the plug there. And with the limited edition one, this book comes with a dust jacket that will only come with the limited edition version. It has the limited edition print, which is previewed on my page. It's Garbage Man fighting all those pumpkin head creatures. That print is going to actually be included in the book, or it's going to be glued in or taped into the inside front cover of the book, and it'll be signed and numbered. And so you get the regular edition of the book, plus the limited edition print, plus the dust jacket, plus it's signed and numbered. So, and that's for $70. And the other tiers, the more expensive tiers, have already sold out. So I had one piece of original artwork up because I'm not selling any of the originals yet, and I don't know if I will. But I had one for the print that was up for sale. That one was sold, and then there was 25 that I was doing sketches inside the book, and those are all gone. So
are
really,
you going to do more, or are you going to leave it at that?
Because I 25 to me was a lot, because I was like, because you sit down and again, it comes to time, right? How much time do I have to sit down and draw? If I did, and maybe I could sell 100 of them, I don't know, but to sit down and have to draw 100 sketches in 100 different books, and it'll take forever.
Yeah,
and I don't want people, waiting 6 months to get their book.
right.
So really, what's left to be bought on the tier is the standard edition, or the signed remarked edition, or the collector's edition. And those are all, I think, pretty reasonably priced for what you're getting. So.
Right. The reason I don't like to do sell artwork a lot on Indiegogo and stuff is because, one, Indiegogo is going to take their money.
Yep.
And so you always have to either make the price a little higher, or you have to eat that, that expense that you have to pay out. So that's why these art tiers aren't always the best for me, because then you can lose money.
Right. And the other thing is, are you selling a book, or are you selling original artwork? Because I can sell original artwork at a con, or I can sell it off my website. Exactly. I want to know if there's enough people out there that want this book just because of this book. And when you start, yes, you can reach your goal by mixing in a bunch of other things. But at some point now you're selling merchandise and you're not selling your book. And all that money you're selling your merchandise is going towards your book. So you don't have a realistic view, I think, of, is this book successful or not?
Right, right.
Everything else to get there, to get my book out. I want to know if this book is successful. I want to know if people want this book.
Yeah, I was doing commissions or like head sketches in the books. And then I started realizing that, by the time Kickstarter, I mainly did it Kickstarter, took their money, I was losing money because, like you said, I could take a commission and I could make more money if I just did the commission versus through, Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so I'm totally transparent, guys out there watching this. I'm totally transparent. This is what it costs to make the book. I'm trying to sell you the book. I'm not trying to sell you anything else. So if enough people want the book, then we'll hit the fixed goal. If enough people don't want the book, then I guess that tells me I need to try a different property that maybe would be.
Also, the thing is, this isn't just a comic. This is a magazine size art book. Like you said, this is oversized. This is not a comic book size, you guys. You should probably, Aaron, I don't mean to tell you what to do, but you should probably put that more in the forefront, like in bold print, like a big paragraph that says, this is an oversized coffee table book, like for me, like I said, when I go to comic conventions, those are the books I buy. Like I've bought was it Dotson's book? I buy Art Adams books. I buy all those books. I try to throw money at Humberto Ramos. He always just throws the book at me and says, "Get out of here, you bum." But those books are my favorite thing on bookshelves right now. So this Garbage Man would be right up there with those books. So it doubles as an art book, because wasn't Dotson, he put out a European sized
Red One is the name of the but he did it first in Europe, and now it came out through Image later. So it was first as a European comic.
Okay.
But it was in one of those European volumes. They don't sell like floppies like we do. They do graphic novels that are oversized, and they're hardcovers, and they're really cool. And so he did the same thing through Image for the American market with his Red One. And there's something really cool about having an oversized comic. It's like, we used to get the black and white magazines back when we were kids, and they had
like Savage Sword and stuff.
Yeah, right. So you've got this oversized art, and it's just.
Wait, hold on. Oh, keep going. But I'm gonna go look for something for you.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. So it's like an oversized read where you can really appreciate the artwork. In fact, I was going to originally just do Garbage Man in black and white, oversized in black and white, just to kind of show off the black and white artwork, because I was that pleased with it. But, and then I kept thinking, well, you're going to limit your audience even more if you're not producing something in color. So, but I went through all these different kind of ideas. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this was the book I was talking about. I have the other ones as well.
Right.
Yeah, this is for humanoids.
That's exactly what my book will look like without, the scantily clad girl in it with a monster. So yeah, you're getting like a pretty hefty volume of cool stuff.
Have you seen these, Aaron? These are what I eventually would love to do. Like Image puts these out.
Yeah.
And they're full 11 by 17.
Well, it's like remember the Treasury editions that Marvel used to do?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, those were incredible.
But get this, Image is selling this for $24.99. Like, this is a beautiful, beautiful book, man.
That's a soft cover though, right?
Yeah, it's soft. This thing would weigh a ton if it was hardbound. But these are formats that we can do for the creator market, like what you're doing with Garbage Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're making a unique, one of a kind collectible book. You're not just putting out a like a saddle stitched comic book. This is a one of a kind collectible.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so it's way more prestigious, and it deserves to be on Indiegogo. And so if you guys haven't, please go check that out. And I'm going to try to do a quick plug because I know Aaron wants to take off, but I'm only
a half hour over. Last time we went like over 2 hours. So this time we're improving.
You know what happens is the old folk guy stories, but the thing is, that's what makes these things fun too, So you don't want to limit that and just go right into the your sales pitch,
Right, because hey, people want entertainment, and that's what we're here for, is to entertain the masses with our That's right, with our crazy old stories. So
yeah, people eat that up, man. They love it.
Inside information. Oh, I got stories I could tell. Maybe next time, but
they love the story about how Art was fired from Marvel and asked to never return.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, right?
Yeah, that's their favorite story. Okay, so this is near and dear to my heart. This is my obsession right now. It's called Chrono Mechanics. They do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. Up to 2 days ago, I was kicking Aaron's butt. We actually just flip-flopped because I think it's about 1,000 difference, or actually you're probably like 1,500 now.
Well, the funny thing is I got more backers than you do, but we have I think I have $300 more raised money-wise, but I have way more backers. So you must have more expensive product on there than I have.
Yeah. So, and I have a little bit more time. I have 24 days left. And so, I want to show these. I don't know if you can see these. These are like little quotes from famous people throughout time. So this is one from Joan of Arc. It's this book lights my fire. And then it says, Teenager and Heretic. This book is pure gold. No, I touched the darn thing. How to stand Midas. I love the descriptions of the characters. Those are my favorite, where it's like very rich king and hands-on kind of guy.
That's really clever. I like that. Now, are these characters appearing in your book? Any of these historical figures?
They could potentially, but they're not in this 48-page story. I didn't want to make Chrono like historical, like, oh, they're going to meet this guy or that guy in time, and then it becomes a history lesson, and
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something. Well, that actually did it in a fun way, which was entertaining, but I don't think it was very educational, actually, if you think about it. Yeah. So we have Ben Franklin. This book is a shocking discovery. Get it? Lightning, inventor and avid kite flyer.
I get it. That's funny.
And then, this was, what I thought Einstein, because he personalized his quote. So he says, Thibert makes time travel relatively fun. So thank you, Einstein.
Nice. That's a good one. Yeah. It's great that you're able to get these people to do this, because they're not hard to get. They're not easy to get in touch with.
Yeah, I had to travel through time, and there was a whole. It's what? Let's just say it's harder to get them than Aaron Lopresti on your YouTube channel.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Especially when Aaron is in full crowd campaigning.
That's right.
Crowdfunding campaign.
That's right. I'm easy to get when I'm selling something. When I'm not, I'm usually busy. So
yeah, the head's down, you don't answer the phone.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how Aaron and I's relationship usually is. He just waves his hand and says, "Go away."
Go away.
Go away. Get out of here.
Doesn't want you. I don't want you.
I don't want you either. So right now, Chrono Mechanics is a 48-page graphic novel. It's also self-contained. So one of the things I've noticed about these campaigns is if they're ongoing, it becomes a little problematic, because we can't put these books out in a crazy like Marvel DC fashion in a monthly way.
Right.
So they take quite a bit of time to do the follow-up. So I thought one and dones would be a better way to go. So Chrono Mechanics is that one and done. It's 48-page saddle stitch at this point, but what we're hoping is that we can get this up to 60 pages. And if we can do that, then all the bells and whistles you'll get with the book itself. So this book answers the age-old question, what if Looney Tunes met H.G. Wells? So that kind of sets up the tone of the book. The tone of the book is a lot of fun, and we got a little bit of time travel, but we're not taking the time travel stuff seriously. So don't expect, quantum physics or anything in this book. Because you're not going to get it. Even though Einstein loved it, you're not going to get it. Yeah. So we have working on the book. We have my wife. She's a co-writer, and she's going to be editing the book. We have the great Narwhal on colors, and my longtime partner in crime, Jeff Eckelberry, will be lettering the book. And then we have Render Contender, who is going to work on some of the pages as a pencil assistant, because I want to try to get this book done quicker. And Render and I have worked in the studio before. He's an old Hack Shack Studios alumnus, so we speak the same language. So here's kind of a preview of some of the pages. This is the cover. This is the first page. This is a satellite, Chrono Incorporated, out in timeless space. If you work for Chrono Inc. And you're working in the timeless space, you don't age. So that's one of the perks of working for Chrono Inc.
It sounds like I should be working there.
We both should. Could you imagine how much more productive we would be?
And Mike Miller wouldn't be able to give us a hard time about our age.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't devalue you as far as your age, like as far as your page rate, like not pay us what we're worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're too expensive. The older we get, the more expensive we get. So.
Oh, they can't afford me anymore. I price myself out.
I really like your style of drawing in this. It's kind of, and I'm not going to say cartoony because that sounds insulting, but it's more like animated style, I guess would be the. I really like it. It's really charming.
Thank you. It's kind of Mobius meets Hanna-Barbera, and when I say Hanna-Barbera, I mean that in the best of Alex Toth kind of design work. No,
that's groovy, man. I like that.
Yeah, and I have here somewhere
I
an
love
Eric
this caveman.
Lopresti cover.
Yeah, I wanted to do the caveman, but you requested me to do the little alien dude. So he was cool. So I was glad to do it.
Oh, you did a great job, but the caveman had already been taken. So we have a sketchbook with this as well. So there's a sketchbook tier. And it's going to be, this is like what you're doing, Aaron, where we can play with the format. This is going to be more like a centerfold format. So it's going to be widescreen. So it's going to be horizontal versus vertical. So you read it up and down versus left to right.
Interesting. How about that?
Yes, it'll be fun. And they're going to be kind of like schematics and stuff like that, working drawings, different things like that. So here is where Aaron comes in. So we have variant covers done by Superstar Talents. And this one is done by Sean Cheeks Galloway.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, this one is Tom Bancroft, who I've known forever. And he's a big-time Disney animator. He was the key designer on, his character was Mushu on Mulan.
Right, that's right.
And his brother, Tony Bancroft, was the director. I think he got an Academy Award for that movie. Yeah. So we got A-list guys here. Who's this guy?
Who's that sucky Wrightson ripoff? Who is that?
Who's this bum?
That's me.
That's me. You nailed it, brother. This was so flattering. I've never really done this before, where you have your characters drawn by other people, and you're always a little nervous because you either think they're not going to get it or they're going to kick your ass, right? They're going to like do something better than your work. And I think this kicked my ass.
Oh no.
This is so cool. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Yeah, and you were so worried you had to put that after Wrightson's, part in there because
I went on Facebook and asked the people, and it was like split down the middle. And I thought, if there's that much, disagreement about whether I should give Wrightson some credit or not, I better do it just to be safe. So, I mean, I didn't rip off the House of Mystery cover, but it obviously is inspired by that. So.
Yeah, it's miles away from it, but yeah, you can tell the inspiration only if you put it side by side, though.
Right.
And it's mostly just the uplighting aspects.
Well, the close up and holding, Abel is holding that candle, in his hand like that, so yeah. Everybody knows I'm a Wrightson honk anyway. So the last thing I want to do is have even just one person on Twitter go, "Oh, you ripped that off from Wrightson, didn't give him credit." So.
It'll be that one guy too, the one guy that you were getting into having a hard time with. Now he's going to come after me.
Yeah. Well, now you're prepared, right?
Yeah. So
then he won't come after you because you're a true artist. You're sacrificing having a low fixed goal for your art.
Oh, I'm sure these types, Aaron, he doesn't stop. It doesn't begin and end with you. He's probably going after somebody else right now.
That's a great drawing. I love that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think after I posted yours, Carlo was like, do you have any left? And I said, yeah, we have Caravaggio. So he decided he would do a Caravaggio. And just like you, man, we are so, like, I'm sure you're this way at cons too. Like, you're drawing on that commission up to the time they're pulling that drawing out of your hand. Right? Yeah. Because there's always something else you can do. There's always something you've missed and things like that. So Carlo was just going to do a breakdown for me. And he did. And I posted it up here. But then he's looking at it. He's like, no, he goes, I have to give you finished pencils. So then he did finished pencils. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to chrono mechanics it anyway. I'm going to put my style, the chrono style, over it. And so he goes, I don't care. I got to finish this thing. So then he sent me finished pencils. And so, yeah, I'm so gracious. I'm so grateful about all this stuff that you guys have been able to do for this little campaign, and I appreciate it. And thank you, Carlo, and thank you, Aaron, for contributing. And this right now is at the colorist. So I have the colorist working on the Caravaggio piece right now. And if you guys haven't noticed, this is my inks over Carlo. And if you go back in my YouTube history, there's a video where I'm inking this and bringing it together.
Cool.
So there's that. Then we have the posters. So I thought we would take the logos off and offer the variant covers, without all that typeface and everything on them, so they can see it without any cumbersome text. So then we're into the stretch goals, and this is big, guys, because I just added these last night. So we have 5 new stretch goals. So they start now at 12K, and with 12K we get to the OOT variant cover. So we have a trading card that's based on the variant cover of OOT. So I don't know if you guys can see this art. It's a little smaller, but that's the OOT card. And then at 13, we have the Doug card. And then at 14, we have the Aaron Lopresti Zinn card. Yes. And then at 15, we have Caravaggio. What was that, Aaron?
I said yes.
Yes.
I was just supporting myself, basically.
You gave yourself a big old thumbs up.
That's right. Cheering for me when you announced my name.
Well, you have to. We have to be our own cheerleaders, right? Because that's what this is all about. So at 16K, we have the variant trading card. So this is a special 5 trading card set that is outside of the main campaign of the 10 card set. So if we can get, or when we get to 17K, you guys potentially can have 15 different trading cards that go with this campaign. So this is pretty cool. And you guys have chimed in saying you want trading cards. So you guys wanted it, so you're going to get it. And so at 17, we have the button. 19, we have the guitar pick. The lucky pick is big time part of this campaign. So when you get your book, you'll realize how much this lucky pick has to do with the story. And then this is where it gets good for me. 25.
I don't mean to interrupt. I gotta take off. I gotta.
All right, brother. Hey, hold on. Let me go back.
Giving me a call. I gotta call her back.
Okay. A proper send off. So hey, thank you so much, Aaron, for coming by, hanging out. I do appreciate it. I know you have things to do.
Thank you for having me.
And wait, hold on. I got one more thing. Let's do this. Yes, please go back, Garbage Man. It's a great book. Like I said, it's this size. It's big. It's a big hardback book, and it's well worth the money. And Aaron put his blood, sweat, and tears into that book. So yeah, go back that book. Do you have anything else you want to plug before you take off?
Well, look for me showing up on Justice League here pretty soon at DC. So that'll be it.
All right, brother. Go enjoy your day, and
Thanks.
I'll talk to you later, man.
All right. See you, Art. Thank you.
Take care, man. I thought he'd never leave. It's all me. It's all me again. Yes. So let me go back and finish up my my little plug with the stretch goals, and then I'll probably be heading out of here as well. So thanks, you guys, for hanging. And so at the 25K, we have 6 more pages. And then at 30, we have the square bound spine. So I would love to get to that 30K because then we can do the cardboard cover with the square bound spine. So it'd be more of an actual graphic novel format. And then at 33K, we can get to that 60-page count. And this is the ideal place for this book, you guys. When we get to this 33K, I will be doing a woo hoots. I will be jumping around live on YouTube and thanking you guys from the bottom of my heart. So the rest is kind of, you guys can go check it out. We have the sketch, and this is the golden time card equals free doodle. This is just my way of thanking you guys. So if we get to 50K, 55K, this will be something fun I can do for you guys. And won't cost you anything. It's absolutely free. So these cards, you guys, I think these came out so cool. I love the graphics. Yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I love the graphics I did on these things last night. And each one of you can't see, but they say a superstar cover collection. And then they have the Team 9.2 of Sector 7 official cog that's in the corner. So I think these things look really, really cool. And then at the 16K, we will have this cool kind of redesigned cover trading card as well with the official Chrono Mechanics Team 9.2 of Sector 7 cog. So that's pretty much it. Let me get to the front. Check this out when you guys have time. You can go into more detail and spend more time with the tiers there. So thank you guys for letting me share this with you. And I am going to go back to StreamYard, hang out with you guys in the comments, see what you've been up to. Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit. I love going back in the chat because it's kind of like time travel. We are going back in time. So we have Couch Doodles. If you don't know, this is Dan Frega, and he has a killer new YouTube channel that he's putting together, and he's awesome. So we have Arthur Brown, the Uncanny Kodiak, and he's my best friend. He's been wrenched, so he helps out promoting chronomechanics from time to time. Thank you so much for this. And Aaron does rule. Aaron is a good friend. I've known him for a while, so he's good. And you're not going to get any BS with that guy. I don't think he can even BS. So he is as honest as the day is long, as they say. Ask where. Oh, I think he said, is this the right one? I think he said right now it's only at comic conventions that he's going to be selling his art book at comic conventions. But I almost guarantee you guys that he'll be doing an Indiegogo for it soon. Yes, don't stop with one, do both. Yeah, life is too short, and there's not enough reading. There's not enough good reading material in the world. So, we have Nighthawk Warrior in the chat. So, hey, how are you? I always like to say hi. Yeah, you guys are all alone with the Fart Man. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own the Fart Man. That is who I am. Live stream with the Fart Man. It's me, Art Thibert 2019. I don't know why I do it with an Italian accent. Actually, Caravaggio from Chronomechanics, he's writ. It's so hard to write it though with an Italian accent. I think that's the next thing I'm going to try to do for you guys is I'm going to get some lettering from Jeff Eckelberry and start posting up lettered pages of Chronomechanics so you can see those. Because when you can read these things and you can see the font, you're going to understand the tone of the book. It is hilarious, you guys. This is a big time over the top action adventure humor book. So Kevin says great stream. Thank you, Kevin. And we have Nighthawk Warrior again. I'm great today. I'm great today, Art T. Bear. That's good to hear. Andro Taz01, T. Bear, Best Bear. I don't know, man. There's a lot of bears. I feel kind of connected because isn't there's comic book bear. There's the Kodiak, the Uncanny Kodiak, and I think there's another bear that shows up on YouTube from time to time. So I'm in good company here. Oh, Brock says Chronomechanics has cogs. Lots of cogs. Yeah, you guys, we're still getting some reviews back from famous people throughout time. So I'll be posting those up as well. And I will be posting some more original artwork from Chrono up on the site. So we're going to do an update today on the Chrono site, and we're going to be posting some new artwork as well. So we're going to keep this time train running here. And let me see. Art is our bear. Thank you. Ooh. Oh, wait. It just moved. I'll get to you. Well, it moved twice. The bear tribe. Yeah, I like that. We're the Bigfoot bear tribe, or what is it? The brown. What is it? The big bear. Yeah, we're the big bear tribe. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm getting hungry here, you guys. We've been going long and strong. So how's everybody doing? We have Nighthawk Warrior. Isn't Chester a bear? Yes, he is. He's the bugbear. There are more bears than not. Yeah, we should start like a club. The bear club. The Hair Bear Club. Or the Hair Bear, that was a cartoon, right? Yes. Read the super chat. Oh my gosh. Did I get another one? I read one, so I'm going to go back in time, you guys. Sorry, when I share, I can't read the chat always. And it moves so fast, it's hard to find things. And I hate spending time scrolling because then I become the most boring person on YouTube. So if I did miss your super chat, you guys, I'm sorry. But I did get one earlier, and I believe I read that one and appreciate it. It will only let me go back to 207. I can't go back any further. So I'm sorry if I didn't read somebody's super chat. And if it's yours, Nin, I greatly apologize. I did read one, but this will only let me scroll back to 207. I can't go all the way back to the beginning of the chat. So my time travel is limited. I only have limited time travel capability here in the chat. I'm going to scroll one more time and see if I missed it. So once again, you guys, if I did miss the super chat, I apologize, because that is not cool, and I appreciate all the support that I get. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh my gosh. I feel bad. I feel horrible. Yeah, is there some of, like, when you go YouTube, it'll actually highlight the super chat. So there's like a little tab that has them on the top. But when I go through StreamYard, I can't see them. And also, these things highlight different. Also, it was your super chat. I apologize, my friend. But I did read one at the beginning. So if it was early, then I did read one. It was 10 from, okay, so it was 10 from Nin. I'll send you a screenshot on Twitter. Oh, thank you. Let me see if I can go to Twitter real quick without doxing or screwing everything up. So where would this be? Can you send me a private message? Where would this be? Sketch. Can you private message me, Sketch? Because I don't see it here. Oh my gosh, I'm a horrible human being. This is horrible. Well, I tell you what, so I don't kill everything. Can you type in your super chat and I'll read it? Because I can't find it, and I apologize, man. That is horrible. So if you could type it in, because I can't. What is it? Sketch Therapy is trying to help out, but I can't find it on my Twitter either. Screenshot you on Twitter. Yeah, I looked. I didn't see it. Oh, okay. So Nin, $10. Art, your wrench is not doing their job. They're not putting Mr. Lopresti's link in your chat. Fire them. No, there were some links. I believe there were some links, and also, thank you for doing that. By the way, that's very kind of you to, and I really appreciate you guys steering me straight on this, because there's a lot of moving pieces, and I haven't been doing this long enough to get, to have this down as a perfect science yet, but I am learning. I am learning. So, yeah, and also in the chat, in the description on this video, there's a link to Aaron Lopresti's Indiegogo as well. So this will be my last plug. So I had this. So this is Aaron, but I don't think you can click on this link. It's not an active link, but I thought I would do it anyway. because I clearly don't know how this stuff works. So yes, if you guys haven't, go check out Aaron's Garbage Man. It is going, it's doing pretty well right now. So he had a stellar couple, I think yesterday actually, day, and he sold a big piece of artwork too. So that brought his total up. So those actually help out a lot. So thank you guys. I'm going to take off and go make myself something to eat. It's 2:30 and I have not eaten at all today. So thanks again, you guys. I much appreciate it. Go check out Chrono Mechanics again. I have a little bit more time than Aaron, but not much more time. So please go back support. If you can, shout this out on your social media. Any help, I do appreciate. And if you guys can, anybody in the chat, please like this video. Give it a thumbs up because it does help in the algorithms. It gets me better exposure, and I appreciate that. And if there's anybody out there that you know that likes this kind of content, turn them on to the channel. I would appreciate that. So yes, I will. And once again, man, I feel horrible. Thank you for the super chat, and you have a great day. And once again, you guys, I would not be here without you. This is the high point of my day, hanging out with you guys. And one last plug. We will be doing a Pontificators tonight. So it's usually around 5, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So come by, check us out. We will talk endlessly. We will talk a subject to death. We get into every aspect, every detail, every possible angle that you can on whatever subject we're talking about. So we have couch doodles. Be well. You too. Live long, prosper. I can do that. I'm a nerd. So let me see. I can't do it as well with my left hand, but I can do it. So thanks, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you tonight on Pontificators.